Hello, Buzz. How's it going?
Very well, Alex. How are you?
I'm very good, sir. Right, so this week we have a film that I watched on Prime. It's called The Mauritanian, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Mauritanian is a 2021 film, and it basically is the story of, I believe his name was Mohamedou Slahi,
Slahi,
which
yeah.
is Slahi, yeah, which is a prisoner in Guantanamo Bay. So this is all happening in the Bush era when they were trying to find the culprits for 9/11, and this person Slahi was captured prisoner without anybody charging him for what he was captured for, sent straight to Guantanamo Bay, and the film tells you the story of the lawyers on both sides. So the prosecution lawyer, which is played by Benedict Cumberbatch, and then his defense lawyer is played by Jodie Foster. Yeah, and then so both of them are trying to find out the truth, to be honest, because they are starting with not a lot of information, and they're trying to get all the documents of the interrogation technique and everything else that happened to the prisoner while he was in prison. And this is 6 years later, so he's been imprisoned already for 6 years, and they're trying to get him out or prosecute him for terrorism. It's what did you thought of it, sir?
Yeah, good film. Yeah, I just finished it about half an hour ago. I started watching it last night and just finished it off today. And I like doing that because then it's fresh in my mind. But no, I thought it was a very good example. I think we all remember seeing images of Guantanamo Bay back in the day of leaked images, prisoners that were bags over the head, they're being stood on by US soldiers. We were all shocked and appalled to see that, and no, this film dictates quite well how justice should be done or shouldn't be done in this case. And as you mentioned, he was in what do you call it? He was withheld, and he was kept in this prison for 6 years, and there's no trial or anything, and then you get to see, as you say, the prosecution case, because the prosecution essentially want to give him the death penalty, and Benedict Cumberbatch, he's leading the prosecution to try and get him to court to give him the death penalty, and then Jodie Foster's, she's defending him, and both of them slowly come to the conclusion of actually how horrible and abhorrent the crimes are that are being committed to this man, to Slahi, in the 6 years he was held captive. And it's really quite shocking to find out, and you figure out what he's been through as Jodie Foster and Benedict Cumberbatch do as well in the film, and we quite like that, didn't we?
Exactly. So the fact that's what I liked about it, because when I first watched the trailer, I said, "Oh, this is going to be a court drama. Half of the film is going to be in court and all of the." But actually, the film focuses more on the two lawyers not the two lawyers, mostly the prisoner and the two lawyers trying to find out the truth before they get to court. And the scene in court is like maybe 10 minutes at the end of the film, and that's it. But it focuses on the prisoner, which is played by Tahar Rahim, which is a French actor. He's a very good French actor.
Fantastic.
And he's actually, like I told you, he won the Golden Globe this year for Best Actor. And also he's nominated for the BAFTA for Best Actor too. So hopefully he's gonna get that if he hasn't already. Can't remember the dates. But he's really good, a really good actor. If only for acting, he's a masterclass in how he plays this role. He's really good. Yeah. But obviously there's a section, a fairly hard to watch section with the interrogation techniques, the torturing, I call it, is
what was the US terminology?
Mental torture.
Yeah, it was mental torture, physical torture, but what was the actual US terminology you said before?
I think it's called like persuasion technique.
Persuasion techniques,
like
and it's anything but that. If that's persuasion, that's some hardcore persuasion, because it's anything from waterboarding, it's sound torture, so like loud music playing, it's
emotional torture,
strobe lighting, to even like threats that they're going to bring his relatives to Guantanamo Bay as well and commit sexual assault on them. Essentially, it's just horrible, man. It's absolutely horrible. And then there's some stats at the end of the film as well, and it's
which
not spoiled.
Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it, but like it was said that there was like
780
captives in Guantanamo Bay when it was open. I don't think it's still open now.
Unfortunately, anyway. It is still open. So
is it still open?
I looked it up, and in 2018, Trump signed executive order to keep it open indefinitely.
Jesus, that's crazy, man.
So it's
that's
still
crazy.
open.
But like
But
of the 780 captive, there was like 4 that actually had charges on them. So again, it's the lack of evidence thing, and they're just wasting these people's lives, man. And like potentially some of them could be terrorists, but we've spoken about this before we start recording. You know, that's why it's so important in this world to be innocent until you're proven guilty. It sounds like, you know, layman's terminology, and it should make sense to everyone, but in this little world in Cuba, in this Guantanamo Bay place, you know, it seems to me that you're guilty until you prove you're innocent, which is very hard to do when you're in a confined box with 4 walls.
Correct. And you're not, I mean, you're literally, the value of human life drops to 0 because they don't care about consequences. They don't care. I mean, from this film, I believe this film stirred up some legislation changes much later on. And I don't think, I'm not personally informed, but I don't think they're using the same techniques anymore. It's just the confinement is the same. So the prison is still there. However, it doesn't really matter because when you're in prison like this character is, well, this real person is, without any charges, you don't even know why they're there. Is, you know, the damage that it does to your mind is just horrifying to think.
There's a few scenes, isn't there? There's a few
your only
scenes.
question that they're asking is why are they there, and is not answered at all. It's just
Yeah, and then like there's a few scenes where, like, you know, especially when he goes into like these cubicles where he's meant to be staying, man, like you can imagine what isolation. I mean, we've all been struggling with isolation in the lockdowns. But imagine being in a little box like a chicken.
Correct.
I mean, that must do something. There's no reading material. There's no one to talk to. Like, you know, what are you meant to do? It's cold, you know. So what are you meant to do? Are you meant to sleep, or are you meant to just look at a blank wall and in your imagination imagine things? You know, it's crazy world to live in. You know,
it's a mental torture like to the maximum. So I've never seen people being so evil. But the reason, I mean, what I also liked about it, that there's some, you know, it shows you just slightly from the perspective of the guards too.
Yeah, they weren't all bad.
Some of the guards, they're not all bad. So you still see that, you know, it's balanced. So
you still see humanity. You still see humanity
even in these type of places, which I liked. But I mean, the 3 main actors are spectacular. So that's one of the things to watch it, from Jodie Foster to Benedict Cumberbatch. They're all brilliant. But even more important is this. You know, it's shocking. It wasn't a revelation to me because I knew about it, but it was just the way it's portrayed, and just seeing it again is just horrifying.
Very scary what goes on there, and also you can see like they made a point with Benedict Cumberbatch's character, his seniors as well. When he finally realizes what's actually going on there and these torture techniques, he starts to back off. Benedict Cumberbatch. He starts this isn't legal. Like, you know, how can I prosecute this guy when we're committing crimes against him by just interrogating him? And you can see with his seniors, they keep trying to brush it under the carpet and say they actually call him a traitor at one point, which is just that's what's scary, because like you can imagine that sort of stuff going on. That's like your hierarchy. Will just keep trying to put you down with words such as a traitor. You know, you've served for your country, and
you know exactly. So here bosses and his bosses and probably his boss's bosses are getting the same message drilled down to say, no, we need to find the culprit. It's just sad. So, but the film is really good. So it's the Mauritanian. It's on Prime. Launched this, I think, about a month ago. So it's really good. So good choice. We'll talk next week, Baz.
Yeah, take care, Alex. Bye.
See you later. Bye.